My name is Melissa Zohren. I'm a consultant at Capgemini. I work in testing, and currently I'm at the Ministry of Defense, and I'm doing test coordination there. Let's see. I'm a topic owner of sustainability within our practice. That means that I am trying to link sustainability and testing and see what we can do with that. In my free time, I like to go sailing, as you can see on the picture on the right, and I like to take long and hot showers. Random fact, but bear with me, I do have a point. This was a couple of years back in Utrecht, at the Jaarbeursplein. Maybe some people recognize it. It was some kind of exhibition, and it was showcasing the effects that climate change had on planet Earth. There was a documentary, powerful imagery, and on the outskirts, the White Ring, there was some vendors and stands, people informing about different topics, but also selling things. One of the things that was being sold there was a shower head that was saving water. So I walked up to the people and I thought to myself, that's something that I can use. I mean, I like to take long and hot showers. I know this is bad for the environment. I'm using a lot of water, using a lot of energy to heat the water up and everything. Why don't I get that shower head and at least do the thing that I do regularly, and let's face it, wasn't going to stop doing, and do it a bit more sustainably. So I bought the shower head, and I thought to myself, this reminds me of something I read before. Maybe some of you have seen it as well, this quote. We don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly, we need millions doing it imperfectly. So I thought, why don't I apply that principle to my life, to everything I do, to my private life, but also my work life. So that shower head incident kind of kickstarted a wave of things that I started to do a little bit differently. I didn't stop doing things altogether, because often people are like, oh, I have to change my entire behavior to save the planet, and no, I'm not going to do that. But I think maybe if we start looking at the things that we are doing and do them just slightly more sustainable, I think we can get somewhere as well. So for the instructions one more time, if anybody is still struggling to log in, it's the same QR code. So if you're already good to go, then you're good to go. And today I'm going to jump in the role of quizmaster. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. If all goes well, you should be entering the name now, or maybe on the next slide. And then we can get the quiz started. We'll start with something easy. Huh. Okay, let's, well, you know the answer already now. But
let's see if we all paid attention.
Exactly.
No.
Okay, that's unfortunate, but then we'll just move on to the next question. We have 11 questions, so this was a test, and we'll use the next one to really get the score going. Well, the answer to the question is electronic devices. That is what the term e-waste refers to. And e-waste is known as toxic substances that can be hazardous to humans and the environment, most of all. And it is estimated that in 2019, that's the most recent reliable source I could find, or figure I could find, 53.6 million tons of e-waste were generated. And I looked up a comparison that is about 350 cruise ships the size of the Queen Mary 2. Just an e-waste that could not be recycled or would not be recycled. Well, the leaderboard is going to be very sad now. And then, e-waste. So what is it that you can do then, you're asking? Good thing is, the easy answer is use devices as long as possible. So take good care of your laptop, your work laptops, your private laptops, your mobile phones, everything. A sentence I hear a lot is, oh yeah, it's just my work laptop, I don't care, I'll just get another one. Yeah, but you could also take good care of it and make sure you use it for as long as possible. Next is upgrade or repair rather than exchange, similar to the first one, but recently a colleague of mine was getting into more developing and computing, so he needed a stronger laptop. So instead of exchanging his laptop altogether, he upgraded the computing power that laptop could generate instead of, like I said, exchanging it. And same goes for repairing. If there's an option for repairing it, opt for that rather than getting a new laptop or device. And lastly, inform about recycling options. So a lot of companies actually do have some sort of recycling program. If your company doesn't supply it, then maybe there's a way to get other parties involved. See if your company wants to start working together with those companies and recycle what is possible to recycle. How are the screens looking now on your devices? That looks good, yeah? Seeing anything?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, the question is, sending 20 emails a day on average for a year equals the amount of CO2 emitted by fossil-fueled car that drives how many kilometers? 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 500 kilometers, or 1,000 kilometers? Perfect. Everyone is well with it. Hey, the majority, but we have a tight score. But it is indeed 1,000 kilometers driven with a fossil-fueled car. So the average email emits around somewhere, it's difficult to say what the average email is, but somewhere around 15 grams of CO2. And that same email, if you store it for a year, will emit another 10 grams of CO2. And that's not factoring in all the attachments that we are adding to our emails. Then the number increases drastically because a lot of times Excel sheets, PDFs are huge, and that data needs to be stored as well. So then the 10 gram become something else quite quickly. Next question. What is the percentage of emails that go unopened globally? Is that 20%, 40%, 60%, or 80%?
Yeah.
The correct answer is 60%. Oh wow, 80%. No, so luckily I guess then it's only 60%, which I think is still quite a lot. So those 60% of unopened emails, they emit around 1.5 million tons of CO2. And I think it's, if you think about it, I mean, more than half of all the emails that we're receiving are unopened or we're sending it might be as well. So I was a bit shocked by that number. Oh, there we go. We can get a little score in between. Well, this is quite exciting. We'll get the leaderboard a couple of times throughout the quiz. I didn't add it after every slide, but we'll see in the end if we have a clear winner. That's right. So email usage. What can you do? Limit the amount of recipients where possible and sensible. Putting everyone in CC, doing the reply all. Think about whether that's really necessary. I'm not going to say don't answer your project managers, your manager, and overall don't do that. They'll come running at me and be all angry. But just think about if you really need to email the amount of people that we're currently doing. Maybe you don't need to email the, oh, thank you, no, thank you, well, have a nice weekend, oh, you have a nice weekend. Maybe that's not necessary, but who am I? Next, limit the amount of attachments. I already mentioned attachments as being quite the wrongdoer in email world. So instead use links to share documents. That limits the size of the email and also therefore has a smaller effect on the environment. And it helps with version control as well, so not you don't have copies of the same document on 4 different machines, and you know, we all know how it goes, I think.
Do you take questions afterwards, or no?
Now is fine.
For example, how about Teams? If you say hello to someone on
Yeah.
Teams.
I actually get that question a lot. It's quite similar to email, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So often, of course, what you see in Teams is you write shorter messages but send more. So in the end, in Teams, if you say the same thing in Teams as you would in an email, it's probably the same. It's roughly the same. Good question. Unsubscribe from email distributions that you don't read. Yeah, the 60% of emails that go unopened. Most of that is email distributions, newsletters, commercial emails, and whatnot. So if you can, just unsubscribe. It literally takes 2 seconds to scroll to the bottom, unsubscribe, and then you never have to delete them again. Question?
Surely majority of this is like spam emails, and that makes...
A majority of the 60%?
Yes.
Possibly. I don't know.
Okay.
There might be a large chunk of that being spam, that's true. What I found in the research was that a lot of it is email distributions. Yeah, that's also quite a large a phrase that catches a lot of things. But yeah, good one. Spam is probably also quite a large chunk of it. I'll look it up. And the last one is clean up your inbox and your trash regularly. So the old version of Outlook actually used to have an option that every time you closed Outlook, your trash got deleted automatically. The newest version doesn't have that yet, so I don't know who I need to speak to at Microsoft. But they have feedback. Next category, so we're going to next question as well. Data storage. And getting started. Question is, 1,000 kilometers driven in a fossil-fueled car emit about as much CO2 as how many gigabytes stored for a year? 1 gigabyte, 10 gigabyte, 100 gigabytes, or 1 terabyte? The correct answer is 100 gigabytes. 3 people got it right, so good on you. To the others, yeah, all those cat pictures, blurry holiday photos, and pictures of your favorite dishes. Maybe you want to reconsider having them in storage somewhere, never looking at them again. Right, so 0.2 tons of CO2 is emitted by 100 gigabytes sitting idle in storage somewhere. And I had a colleague of mine who actually had 700 gigabytes of data stored in his work cloud from a client that he had worked on 4 years ago with data that he wasn't even allowed to be able to access anymore. So I might add this is a win-win situation also for data compliancy, privacy, everything. So in this case, he got rid of it, and yeah, immediately was a big relief for everybody in the company. But yeah, just go check your storages and be critical on what you save and what you still have access to. Then next question. This is simple. It's true or false? A server running idle uses the same amount of energy as the server that's maxed out on CPU. There we go. That is actually true. Right. Funny thing is, it was actually someone at Microsoft that came up with a metric, the PUE, the power usage effectiveness, and that measures the efficiency of a data center. divides the amount of power entering a data center by the power used to run the computer infrastructure within it. And that will get you a score. The best score you can have is a 1. And very efficient data centers will be somewhere around 1.2, 1.3. The average, I believe, is 1.8. But if you think of, the energy that they are using, how that is produced and everything, that becomes a different story. Yes?
Is this true for servers and personal computers, or just for servers?
This is for servers.
Oh, because they are always running at 100% capacity.
Yeah.
And because normal computers, when you have them, they have like dynamic power usage, right, for like performance.
Yeah.
And like when you're, for example, if you are running a very heavy application or a computer game or like some Photoshop or something, then it runs at more capacity, right?
Yeah, and that's so if you if you have an environment, let's say like a DTAP street, and you have environments and you have some of them running idle, they will use the same amount of energy as the ones that are not running idle, because it doesn't matter. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, but we never use that one. Well, it's just there. Yeah. No, it's still using energy, and it's using the same amount of energy as the one that is maxed out in performance.
They're always optimized for performance, basically. So that's why.
Yeah. Right. Right. I already mentioned the amount. The type of energy that is entering a data center. In Windpark Wieringermeer counts 99 wind turbines to power just one data center. How many households could be provided with clean energy instead? So 170,000, 270,000, 370,000, or 470,000. 2 seconds to 1. Correct answer is 370,000. That's actually twice the amount of the households in Utrecht. So you could power the entire city of Utrecht twice with the power generated from those wind turbines that are now powering one data center. Right. Even though they use clean energy, I think it's still something that we need to consider. Like, what do we want to prioritize? Providing clean energy for households or a data center where we store our cat pictures? Just okay. Well, we have a change here. Change in leadership. Nice. Well done. To the top. 6, 7. I don't know. We'll see at the end. So data storage, what can you do? Limit the amount of data stored. That's an easy one. Clean up your phone storage, both. These days, of course, often your phone backs up automatically into the cloud, so cleaning up on your phone will already clean up lots of storage in the cloud. Migrate to a cloud-hosted storage that you can scale up or down. The reason there being that, basically what you mentioned as well. So if you have a server, that's always on, if you get one that's way bigger, that might be unnecessary. Capacity being reserved for you that could be used by others, because. Next one is use shared storages where possible, because again, back to the part where data centers are trying to optimize the power that they are getting. They are the most efficient. So if you have your own little server running at home, probably not the most efficient, because you don't have the means that they do. And the last one is limit the amount of environments. So I mentioned the DTAP streets that a lot of us use in development. The fewer environments you have, the better. And like I said, even if they're running idle, so they're never being used, just get rid of them altogether. Next category is web searches. And we'll go to the question. With around 3.5 billion web searches a day, Google is responsible for about 60% of the internet's carbon footprint. Is that true or false? The answer is false. Well, good on you. That's only 40%. So, yay. So actually a year's worth of Google searches, again, averages, a bit hard to calculate, but a year's worth of Google searches is as much as a fossil-fueled car that drives 20 kilometers. So just by sitting behind your desk and Googling if the Mexican restaurant behind on the next corner is still open, by doing that for a whole year, you're driving 20 kilometers somewhere, figuratively, of course.
Is that different for other search engines?
Yes, I'll get to that in the section on what you can do. Well, yes and no. Next question, because you can't have a presentation in IT these days without even mentioning AI. So using AI to answer a simple question emits how much more than a web search? It's the same question once asked to an AI engine or an LLM and once to a web search. Twice as much, 20 times as much, or 100 times as much. The answer is 20 times as much. Ooh, a lot of people being very pessimistic. I thought 3 times as much was already a lot, but 100 times is insane. Right, so on average, one web search emits about 0.2 grams of CO2, and getting a simple response, again, from AI emits around 4 grams of CO2. I'm talking here about who's the mayor of Utrecht or something, so something like that, which is clearly a web search would be able to answer. And that even consumes 20 times as much. Both of these multiply if either you use multiple search clicks, so you click on multiple results, or you use multiple prompts, of course. The leaderboard, see what happened there. I'm getting ooh, well done, Lola. So what can you do? And then we get to your question. You can use an eco-conscious search engine, for example, Ecosia. In basis, they're not more sustainable. So they use Bing as a basis for their search engine. But what they do is they donate 80%, I think, of their income from their profits from from advertisement to plant trees, and that's one of the best. You also have other alternatives. You can look them up, and they all do a little bit different things. So searching with those engines is not more sustainable, but at least you offset some of what you're doing. Then, the simple one, use search engines over AI for simple questions. Also, things like a template for a motivation letter or a template for something else, where nowadays we all use AI to generate a nice text that you can Google template for X and you get the same from a search engine. And you have to work on both, right? You have to give it your own touch and everything. Please do consider using search engines over AI. Limit the amount of clicks on the search results, so you get a little preview or a little text that tells you what you're actually going to find instead of just blindly clicking on the first one, second one, third one, fifth one. Just read what you might find and see if that's actually the result you're hoping for, and click on that 1 or 2 links maybe instead of opening them all. Limit the amount of prompts. If you do use large language models, try and limit the amount of prompts that you're using, because it is considerably more polluting than search engines. And that is, I believe, the last category, smartphones, which we are also all using, especially here in this room. Setting your phone to dark mode can save up to what percentage of battery? 44, 55, 66, or 77? Correct answer, ooh, just one person, is 66%. So actually, a university somewhere, I'm not sure which one, ran an experiment where they ran standard applications, so YouTube, Facebook, Google Maps, and whatnot, in light mode, and measured the amount of energy consumption, and then they did the exact same thing in dark mode and saw what the difference was. And that showed a 66 decline in battery consumption in dark mode. So it does take some getting used to. If someone here didn't change their theme yet or their mode to dark, it does take some getting used to, but it's actually better for your eyes. Yeah, I really recommend doing it. You'll also get more battery life out of it. Next question. Using a phone over a mobile network is at least twice as energy intensive than using it over Wi-Fi. True or false? That is true. Nice, well done. And this is our last question. 1 hour of streaming music emits about 55 grams of CO2. That's the same as fully charging 7 smartphones, running 2 cycles of the washer-dryer combination, or leaving the light on for 1 hour. And the correct answer is fully charging 7 smartphones. Nice. Washer-dryer combination is way more than that, and leaving the light on for an hour is less. So, what can you do? There we go, yeah. Set your devices to dark mode. I already mentioned it, especially on phone displays. This makes a huge difference. Depending on the screens that you have at home, it also makes quite a big difference. But for regular laptops, there is a slight difference, but it's not as significant as laptops. But it's still nicer on the eyes. Then with your phone or also your laptop, use Wi-Fi over mobile network. So I know in the Netherlands we're all quite spoiled with 5G network everywhere, which oftentimes is better even than the Wi-Fi. But still, if you're not dependent on the fastest, the best connection, consider logging into that guest Wi-Fi network instead of using mobile network. Reduce the amount of hours streaming. Depends on what kind of music you listen to, but listening to the radio is actually better than streaming music through Spotify or whatnot. But also, if you're listening to the same album, playlist, whatever, multiple times, do consider downloading it. That's actually less polluting than streaming it every time. Oh, there you go. That was the next part. Sorry. And then the last one, use Spotify over YouTube. That's a bit, maybe I shouldn't use brands, but more like use music streaming services instead of video streaming services, because clearly they have to stream the music and the video every time as well. So they're more polluting in that regard. And then, let's see who the winner is. Hey, yay, Lola, congratulations. Don't know where you are, but it's, hey! Round of applause for Lola. Well done. So I want to leave you with this quote that I think quotes quite well. Maybe we don't need a handful of people doing green IT perfectly. We need billions doing it imperfectly.